Welcome back to the channel. I'm Shango, and if it's your first time here, welcome. Let's talk iPhone 14. So we're gonna start with iPhone 14 Pros, because that is what everybody is talking about. The iPhone 14s, iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus, they're almost like the iPhone 13 with a little bit of spice. But the iPhone 14 Pro is a complete different beast in itself. We're talking about dynamic island, ceramic shield, crash detection, emergency SOS, always on display, 1600 nit peak brightness, 2000 nits outside, Pro Motion, action mode, 4 zoom options, 48 megapixel in the main camera, 12 megapixel in the wide camera, autofocus selfie camera, cinematic mode in 4K. As I said, it's a beast of a phone. A lot of these features are coming over from the iPhone 13, and the iPhone 14 just makes these features better. Let's kind of focus on the cameras at first. So let's focus on the selfie camera. So the selfie camera has a better aperture, which means you will be taking much better selfies. It also have autofocus. So let's talk about the cameras on the back. You know, Apple tend to emphasize and always promoting the cameras on the back. So the main camera is now 48 megapixel. You heard that? 48 megapixel. That means you can now do high quality 4K videos on this. And even better, you can do 48 megapixel photos on this. It doesn't come like that. You'll be shooting mostly 12 megapixel pictures binned, but you can shoot in Pro RAW, which allows you to shoot actually in the 48 megapixel. So what it does is that it take the 48 megapixel and bin it down. It pack 4 pixels into one and create an high quality 12 megapixel photo, which means you'll be getting greater details and sharpness with this main camera. So the camera is actually 1.78 aperture, which also means it will be letting in a lot of light, because 1.8 means it will let in a lot of light if you understand anything about photography. It also has censorship, optical image stabilization, and I don't know if you saw it in the presentation, whereas somebody was doing a video and they were running behind the person and it's actually keeping the person well steady. That's what they call the action mode. It have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which means you can get brilliant ultra wide photos. That is 2.2. It also will be letting in better light. Let's talk about the zoom range now. So that's also a 12 megapixel sensor. So the zoom camera now has 4 range. So you can zoom from 0.5 to 1 to 2x to 3x. What they're actually doing is that you can zoom to 1x and 3x, but they're actually cropping into the 48 megapixel in the center of it to give you that 2x zoom. So it's almost simulated, but you still get that 4 range of zoom. As usual, it has the HDR features, but one of the next thing that they added to this is what they call photonic engine. So that is how they process the photos now to give you the best quality photo when it comes to the lights and the shadows and the colors in your photos. So Apple is just really packing it in the camera, and as you can see, the cameras got a look bigger. The camera bump is much bigger than the camera bump on the iPhone 13. The A16 Bionic chip is the new chip that we are rocking now, which means all of these processes, all your videos, all your photos, all your gaming, everything that you're doing on your phone will be managed by this chip. And it's also a power efficient chip, because remember, the iPhone 14 has always on display. So the always on display, let's talk about this. So the screen, which is ceramic shield, but it's LTPO, which allows you to get true black. So when you look at the always on display, so what it does now is that it dims down the screen to 10 Hz, which allows you to see certain things on the screen. However, the LTPO can dim down to 1 Hz, and that's what they're doing with what they call the dynamic island. The dynamic island, to me, is the biggest highlight of the iPhone 14 Pros, because the dynamic island is such an innovative way of using something that would have been considered dead space and making that dead space useful. So the dynamic island is where Apple used that cutout for the camera and the true depth sensor and now makes that into something you can interact with. So no longer that space is on your phone and you're like, this is just a dead space. You can interact with this, and it's so interactive. I've been watching a lot of reviews from the persons who were at Apple Park when they released the phone, and I'm seeing even more features than Apple actually announced in the event. You can now actually have 2 applications up in the dynamic island, and they'll be like left and right, and you can switch between them, which is so amazing. The dynamic island is hands down one of the top features for me based on this new iPhone. I am super impressed. I am glad that Apple went this direction, and I like that they're using the software to make the phone much better. We have already been experienced with the iOS 16. I've had it on my phone now from the release, the beta for iOS 16. I've been using iOS 16. So I've already used the wallpapers. I've already used the lock screen. I've already been using it. But I'm sure when I get my iPhone 14 Pro or Pro Max, depending on which one I buy, I'm leaning more toward the Pro Max because of the battery life. But I realize that there might be an issue when it comes to reachability, when it comes to the Pro Max, because if the dynamic island is where you'll be sending a lot of your notifications or a lot of the interaction will be happening up there, there might be some issue with reachability with the Pro Max. I don't know. I would have to test it and see, because if you swipe something and it go up there and you want to reach it to bring it back down or to make it bigger, most likely you're gonna have to use your 2 hands based on where it is positioned. It's at the top of the phone is bigger, most likely something like that. So this SOS feature, which is emergency SOS, is a feature that allows you to send a signal via satellite. If you watch a keynote, I'll be showing it on screen, you see that it actually has a feature that you can track the satellite, and once it come up with that green area, you are now in range or in connection with the satellite and you can send a message. The message that you can send is not like sending a message to a friend. It's more like sending a message to an emergency unit or a call center that does work for emergency units, so they can send emergency unit to you wherever you are. This can be done in almost anywhere on the planet. I'm sure you can pick up a satellite signal. Also, the next good thing about the emergency SOS feature is that it allows you to do your Find My, which means you can send that Find My signal to almost anybody. Even a friend can have your Find My in their phone and use that to actually find you. The next thing that I like about the iPhone 14 is the crash detection. So the watch also have crash detection. It's using the phone to process what's going on around you. Say if the phone get a certain impact and it realizes that there's a certain noise, it will then start the crash detection countdown, which is 10 seconds. And if you don't click on the phone and say, yo, I'm not in an accident or I'm okay, it will send a message to the emergency units again, and it also will send a message to your emergency contact. Feature is a safety feature, and I believe that when your phone has a lot of safety features that can help to save your life, it is important. Apple spent a lot of time in the keynote talking about this saving the life thing. It's something that they have been doing now for a while. Yes, Apple, we understand that the phone has safety features and we appreciate them, but I don't think it's worth talking about it too much in the keynote. So with the iPhone 14 Pro, we have 4 colors. We have space black, silver, gold, and deep purple. It also comes in 2 different sizes, which is the same size that the iPhone 14s come in, which is 6.1 and 6.7. So the iPhone 14 Pro is 6.1 and the iPhone 14 Pro Max is 6.7. So let's talk about ProMotion. What ProMotion is that ProMotion allows the phone to move from the 1 Hz that it can go to 120 Hz, which means that you'll be getting smoother animation. You'll be, gameplay will be smoother and all that. ProMotion is kind of standard now in a lot of phones. However, in the iPhone line, it's only on the Pro phones, as it name, ProMotion. Pro phones. It's only on the Pro phones. iPhone 14 Pros have ProMotion. That's even a part of why the dynamic island is so amazing, because the dynamic island is using this ProMotion when it comes to its animation. That's the reason why they're so smooth and it looks so fluid when the animations are happening with the dynamic island. The iPhone 14 Pros are amazing. The iPhone 14 Pro starts at $999 for a 128 gig model, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max starts at $1,999 for the 128 gig model. So you can see that there's an $100 jump for each models going up. To me, that's quite fine. If I was to buy one, I would be looking at more the iPhone Pro Max, which is the 1000, and I'll be looking at probably like 512 or 1 terabyte because I'm a content creator and I am looking at this phone as a phone that I'll be using to create content, possibly even shoot videos like I'm doing right now, or shooting even podcasts using it. I want to have enough storage that I can store these files. If you can shoot them with a 48 megapixel camera at 4K 60, that's even better. So I see this as a content creation tool. I was planning to buy a next camera, and I'm thinking about maybe I could just buy the iPhone 14 Pro or Pro Max and use that as my third camera. So I am not recommending everyone to go out and get the Pros, because the Pros has certain features that are for pro, which means professional sometime for Apple. But yeah, it looks good. It's an amazing lineup. It's a good product, and I can't wait to have it in my hand. I can't wait to get mine. I'm Shango. See you in the next one. Bless up yourself.